I wouldn't know what to do. My son get a murder charge, bro. Like, I gotta stop him from crashing out, bro. Like.
Kodak Black is being targeted by Boosie's crash dummy kid for disparaging his father. Additionally, he was exposed for making an attempt that has law enforcement closely monitoring his every move. And the whole hip-hop world on edge. Tootie was actually scurrying around with switches, sawed-off shotguns, machine guns, and silencers, which resulted in federal prosecution and, as of late, death threats against several rappers. This was the truth of all those Instagram posts and strong language. On top of firearms charges that may land him in prison for decades, we're talking about deliberate obstruction of law enforcement officials. The startling reality of what escalated this conflict is more intricate and hazardous than anyone could have predicted. And we're going to publish everything, even the precise communications in which Tootie expressed his eagerness to apprehend and shoot a rapper. In addition, he has been pursuing Lil Crick since 2023 in an attempt to fulfill these threats. Hey, how are you, family? A person in a body bag doing life or both could be the outcome of the intense street drama that has been roiling the hip-hop scene. This is more than simply a rap feud. There are actual repercussions because this is federal case territory. Let me be really honest with you all before we go on this crazy journey. Tootie, Boosie's son, has been going all out over Kodak Black's diss tune on social media. However, there are layers to this scenario that most people are unaware of. Therefore, we are going to distinguish the real from the phony, the facts from the fiction. 2023, that's when the whole thing began to take shape. However, the roots are considerably older. $1 million was offered to Kodak Black to collaborate on a single with Tekashi 6ix9ine, and he took that offer, just like any other person pursuing a bag would. However, this choice was going to set off a chain reaction that continues to this day, with a young man prepared to end his life, federal charges, and death threats. Hold on, before you all assume that this is simply another rap feud that will end in a few weeks. We are discussing a young man who is currently out on bond and is directly threatening well-known rappers. He has major federal gun charges, including possession of silencers, machine guns, and sawed-off firearms. This is the kind of case that results in either obituaries or life sentences. This is where things get very hot though. Check it out. Then, in 2023, Kodak Black receives a $1 million deal to work with Tekashi 6ix9ine. For those who don't know the complete story, 6ix9ine is likely the most despised individual in hip-hop culture at the moment due to his early release from prison after snitching on his whole Treyway. We are discussing a man who, in an attempt to protect his own reputation, spied on everyone he knew. It was a shock to the street rap scene when Kodak accepted that offer. The problem is that 6ix9ine was playing chess rather than checkers. In order to validate himself and demonstrate that even legitimate street rappers would collaborate with him for a fair payment, he was hiring well-known musicians. On Drink Champs, Kodak made a statement that left everyone speechless. Millions of dollars are just that, millions. I'm not from over there, and I don't even know the underscore guy told on. You guys are rat?
I mean, fucking all about to do a song with a nigga who like, I don't even know the niggas he told on.
Went in on
and I ain't even from over there. Niggas some shit like, nigga, that's y'all rap. I know only nigga squeeze this nigga out some cheese, homie. Yeah. I know so do some shit like, y'all ain't finna do nothing. Y'all ain't even squeeze a nigga out some money.
Actual conversation. That sentence alone demonstrated that, if the figure is high enough, your principles, street norms, and morality all have a price tag. However, this was more than simply a single song or check. This was about the basic question of whether street rappers can keep their street credibility apart from their business. When it comes to producing money, Kodak essentially stated that street politics didn't apply to him, and the entire hip-hop world was split on that viewpoint. The absurd thing is that, from a business perspective, Kodak wasn't entirely incorrect. Making money has always come first in the music business, followed by street politics. However, stealing money from the most well-known snitch in hip-hop history seems like the perfect sellout move when your entire brand is based on authenticity and staying true to yourself. We now know that snitching is the ultimate transgression in hip-hop culture and the streets. After then, there is no turning back, no second chances, no redemption. However, Boosie's circumstances were unique since he has always been the guy who speaks up against breaking the street code. Even if doing so costs him money and relationships. Boosie asked Kodak's brother over the phone if Kodak had indeed recorded a song with 6ix9ine. Boosie claimed that it personally upset him and that he had to block Kodak entirely after it was revealed. That in and of itself is a huge letdown. Losing faith in someone you considered to be reliable, Boosie said, "Bro, that was a bad move for me. Every race in prison despises 6ix9ine more than any other. Kodak will have to defend what he did."
When I first saw it on Instagram, I got up, tried to call Kodak, but he must have had a new number. I called his brother, and I asked him, did Kodak do a song with 6ix9ine? He said, yeah, bro. Think so. It fucked me up. It hurt me. He asked me, did I want to talk to Kodak? I told him I ain't want to talk to Kodak. I blocked Kodak. That was a detrimental move to him, bro. 6ix9ine is the most hated person in prison. by every race, what Kodak did, he's gonna have to stand on.
Boosie was correct about the cultural impact. To be honest, hip-hop's entire anti-snitch position was undermined when Kodak's choice allowed other musicians to collaborate with 6ix9ine, and this is where things become complex though. You have the classic street code, which states that you should avoid doing business with for a period, no amount of money, no justifications, and no exclusions make it acceptable. However, you have to face the fact that musicians are putting money before morals, and that snitching is becoming more common in the rap industry. The real kicker though, is that Kodak's move sparked a discussion about whether the street code is still relevant in the modern music industry. His candor about chasing the bag was appreciated by some, but it was perceived by others as selling out all hip-hop stands for. This division laid the groundwork for all that is currently taking place. In 2024, Kodak Black is experiencing a totally different level of intensity. Rumor has it that he has been abusing narcotics. His decision-making and impulse control are being negatively impacted by severe substance misuse. Hard drugs combined with unresolved ego and anger can lead to crash-out behavior that can ruin everything you've worked so hard to achieve. When Kodak released the diss track directed at Boosie, that's precisely what occurred. The timing seemed completely dubious. He tried to add stress and distraction to an already challenging situation by waiting until the day before. Boosie had to appear in court to release this song. In the song, Kodak made some offensive personal remarks that went too far and directly targeted Boosie's neck. He described how Boosie was upset that he couldn't sign him in the past, therefore implying that Boosie was envious because he succeeded without Boosie's assistance or co-signature. Boosie's street reputation and leadership in the culture were directly attacked by Kodak, who also criticized him for not moving like a true OGH. In essence, he claimed that Boosie was irrelevant and washed up, only drawing notice when he brought up more well-known brands like NBA Youngboy or Kodak. I won't lie, the song had a nice melody, but the substance was intended to harm Boosie's reputation both personally and professionally. In order to get under Boosie's skin, Kodak knew just which buttons to press, and he did it at the most inconvenient moment. Boosie didn't tolerate that disrespect. He went utterly crazy on Twitter, writing a slew of messages that expressed his hurt and rage about the entire circumstance. Boosie called Kodak a crackhead right away, which is about as disrespectful as it gets in hip-hop. The first tweet read, "You waiting until the day before I go to court to drop a weak-ass disc song? LOL. You a clout-chasing You know what I got going on, and you do this the day before court 100 emoji. You're a real clown." Boosie didn't stop there either. "When was the last time you heard someone say, 'Put on that new Kodak laughing emoji'?" He continued. "You're done, dude. Your career is over. Your appearance is even bad than your music. You are only significant when you bring up YB or me." That right there is some serious personal assault, targeting his looks, the caliber of his music, and his cultural significance. Let that sink in for a moment. Boosie's statement, "I know you're going to be holding the phone like Pookie off of New Jack City, waiting on some bad news. You're going to be up all night smoking that chat, wishing bad on me," was the most brutal. In essence, Boosie depicted Kodak as a crazy person who sits by the phone and waits for bad news on his legal case. Then, he got the ultimate street slam from Boosie. However, one thing won't occur. Unlike you, I won't be monitoring my computer. PC stands for protective custody. Additionally, Boosie was essentially stating that, in contrast to Kodak, he would not require protection while inside. That is the ultimate questioning of someone's gangster. The final hashtag told it all. The acronym for cloud-chasing crackhead is CCC. It's clear how angry and disappointed Boosie was that he came up with an entire term to disparage Kodak. The elephant in the room has to be addressed now. Tootie, the son of Boosie, on some significant federal firearms charges that resembled a GTA inventory. This young man was jailed. Possession of a machine gun, silencer, shotgun, rifle, and other dangerous weapon, as well as deliberate obstruction of police enforcement. We are discussing federal charges that might result in his imprisonment for decades, not just years. He can't plead down to probation for these state offenses. Judges are unable to lower mandatory minimum terms for federal weapons crimes, particularly those involving machine guns and silencers, even if they would like to. However, Tootie chose to get involved in his father's feud head-on rather than keeping quiet, hiring competent solicitors and defending his position. This is the epitome of crash-out behavior, attracting more attention to yourself, which will exacerbate your legal position. While out on federal bond, Tootie made a direct threat of violence on Instagram when he wrote, "I'm in the streets with this stuff for real. Go ask your big dog about Lil Raw, dude. I'll put that belt down on you. Dude, and I ain't got no pics with this stuff, and I'm ready to go to war. If who is against me, we on y'all." Put that belt down is slang for placing someone in a coffin. "I ain't got no pics with this stuff" indicates that he isn't sharing pictures of his firearms on social media. Furthermore, "we on y'all" is a clear warning that he will target anyone who has issues with him or his family. Here's the crazy thing though. For years, Tootie has been attempting to build his street credibility. He was ridiculed, referred to as soft, and described in the comments as Boosie's affluent son who never had to face hardship. Someone who is attempting to demonstrate that they truly care for that life gets eaten alive by that kind of contempt. The moment Lil Crix jumped into the beef was the actual tea that rocked everyone. In Florida, Crix is a part of Kodak's network. Things became extremely risky when he began to publish his amusement at Tootie's threats online. Here's what most folks are unaware of though. Since 2023, Tootie has been attempting to harm Lil Crix. This isn't only about protecting his father. As seen by the year-long campaign of intimidation and harassment, this story concerns a young man who has been seeking any justification to commit violence to establish his worth. Lil Crix shared screenshots demonstrating that Tootie had been messaging him for months in an attempt to cause trouble. Because Crix didn't take Tootie seriously, he was essentially ignoring him, which just made Tootie more dangerous and desperate. Tootie began threatening Lil Crix's life in direct messages. One message said, "You a hoe. You ain't like that boy. Don't get this confused if you want, and see what the underscore happened. Come to the A and play and see what happened on my soul. You ain't going to make it back." Another message was even more explicit. "I ain't going to look for you, but if you pull up, we're going to show 100% you ain't going to make it back. You a DCA writer when you do Kodak, not even care. You signed, and still broke. I never signed a deal. I'm richer than you, bum-ass guy." But the most chilling message was this one. "I'm ready to make an example out of a rap guy. I've been waiting on this edge so long to face one of you underscore and go viral. Every day of my life, I'm ready to shoot out of anybody. Try to play with me. You be first one, and see if I'm playing." That last message reveals everything about Tootie's mindset. He doesn't just want to hurt somebody. He wants to go viral for it. He wants the internet to see him as a real killer, not just Boosie's son. That's the most dangerous type of person, somebody who sees murder as a path to fame and respect. Real talk. That message right there shows a young man who's ready to throw his life away for internet clout and street credibility. He's not talking about self-defense or protecting his family. He's talking about making an example out of a rapper just to prove a point. For y'all who might not understand why Tootie is moving so reckless, let me explain the unique pressure that comes with being a celebrity's child in hip-hop culture. People automatically assume you're soft because you grew up with money and didn't have to struggle like your parents did. Tootie has been dealing with this his whole life. People look at him and see Boosie's son who lived in nice homes, went to good schools, and had opportunities that most kids in the hood never get. They don't see a street dude who earned his stripes. They see a suburban kid trying to play gangster. The street's been talking, and a lot of people don't take Tootie seriously because they think his daddy's money and fame protected him from the real struggle. Comments on his posts are full of people calling him fake, soft, and privileged. That type of constant disrespect can drive somebody to do something stupid just to prove a point. But here's the thing that makes Tootie's situation even more complicated. Boosie really did bring him into that lifestyle from a young age. Tootie was on the block when he was 2 and 3 years old, watching his daddy move weight and handle business. So he's not completely removed from that street life like some celebrity kids.
Yeah, put them phones up, Tootie. Where you from? Put them up. This Tootie badass. Tell the camera where you from. Cross the what?
The issue is that Tootie wants to live up to his father's reputation without realizing that Boosie endured hardships, lost friends, and made sacrifices in order to get it.
You get older, you be like, bruh, like, how the f you 4 years still gotta look over your shoulder, you know, from your past. That's a f***ed up feeling. When you gotta go especially when you go in your seat, you gotta look everywhere over your shoulder. Like, that shit wasn't worth it. The respect you got for anything you did ain't worth you being a older man looking over your motherfucking shoulder.
That's right. Boosie has always been protective of his children, trying to keep them out of the life that nearly destroyed him. But Tootie sees that protection as his father not believing in him or not thinking he's tough enough, which breeds resentment and makes him want to prove himself even more. Let's talk about the legal reality of Tootie's situation. He is already facing federal weapons, charges that could put him in prison for at least 10 to 20 years. Now, he is making public death threats. Federal prosecutors are gathering evidence demonstrating that Tootie is precisely the kind of person that these gun laws were intended to stop.
I wouldn't know what to do. My son get a murder charge, bro. Like, I gotta stop him from crashing out, bro. Like, then it worried me more. All them little around him clutching, all them little clutching, man. You know, easy for something to happen, bro. Like, should be have me worried as a daddy, bro. Like,
for people who haven't been keeping up with federal gun laws, possession of a sawed-off weapon and silencer are serious charges that come with mandatory minimum sentences. Add in the machine gun charge, and we're talking about potential decades in prison. Making death threats while on bond? That's just asking for them to revoke his bond and add more charges. This beef between Kodak and Boosie, with Tootie jumping in making death threats, represents a larger problem in hip-hop culture. We've created an environment where young men feel like they have to prove their authenticity. through violence and criminal activity instead of talent and hard work. The street's been watching this situation, and it's sending the wrong message to other young men who look up to these figures. When celebrity children are making death threats and talking about catching bodies for internet clout, what does that tell kids who don't have the same advantages? Real talk, there's nothing cool about throwing your life away for street credibility. Tootie could use his platform and resources to build something positive, create jobs, help his community. Instead, he's choosing to chase the same demons that almost destroyed his father and could end up destroying him too. At the end of the day, Tootie's situation isn't just about proving he's tough or defending his father's honor. It's about a young man who's been given every advantage in life, but is choosing the most dangerous path possible because of cultural pressures, personal insecurities, and a desperate need for validation. The beef between Kodak and Boosie started over principles. Whether it's acceptable to do business with snitches, and what that means for hip-hop culture, but it's evolved into something much more dangerous with a young man making death threats and talking about going viral for violence. This situation is bigger than just one family's drama. It's about how we as a culture glorify violence and make young men feel like they have to prove themselves through criminal activity. Until we change that narrative, we're going to keep seeing talented young men throw their lives away for temporary respect. The real question is, will Tootie learn from his father's mistakes, or will he have to go through the system himself to understand that this lifestyle doesn't lead anywhere good? And what happens if he actually follows through on these threats? We could be looking at multiple life sentences, or worse, somebody's son not making it home. Boosie went through hell and came out the other side, trying to build something positive. But now his son is heading down the same path, possibly worse, because he's making threats while already facing federal charges. That's not gangster, that's just stupid. What are your thoughts on Tootie's situation and his future? Do you think he's really about that life, or is this just a young man trying to prove himself to people who will never respect him anyway? Should Boosie do more to control his son's behavior, or is Tootie old enough to face the consequences of his own choices? And what does this say about how we raise young men in hip-hop culture?